Hi there. Welcome back to Life Between Coasts, the podcast where we dive into our personal journeys connected with synchronicity. So grab your coffee, light a candle, and let's begin. I'm your host, Leah, and we're glad you're here. This week, we're sitting down with the one and only Alexis. She's been behind the scenes for the first
hiding
14 episodes and behind the scenes in a lot of ways. Definitely hiding, as she says. But we're going to learn a little bit about Alexis. As I explained in some of the synchronicity stories, how you came into my life was based on that synchronicity and how you were delivered to me by the universe, because I think we wouldn't be here without you.
No, yeah. So I don't know. Where to start. So before we get going, this is gonna be a wonky one. I'm like, also weird. How am I supposed to edit this after? Weird, but it's gonna be good.
We'll do
good.
this. It'll be fun.
I don't know. 29. I have a 6-year-old, Jack. He's hiding in the front right now. Like, I don't know.
Well, let's start. So where were you born?
Detroit.
Okay.
I was born in Detroit. We lived in there. We lived in Detroit. We lived in Ecorse. We
Okay.
lived all over Ecorse.
Right.
And then 5th grade, I remember coming home from work and my mom and dad got into it.
I think in 5th grade you came home from school.
Yeah. And then 5th grade, I came home from school and I said, "Whoa, what's going on?"
Right.
And literally, I feel like that was where everything that's where life started. Because
Right.
beforehand, it was just kid stuff.
Right.
And then my mom and dad split up, but they didn't split up. So like
Okay.
they separated. Me, my brother, and my sister went with my mom for a week.
Okay.
We lived in the car with her for the week. Went back to my dad's, and then he renovated the whole house. So gutted it from head to toe. There was no bathroom. There was a tub. One of those plastic sinks.
Right.
The like the basement sinks.
Okay, like a utility.
Yeah,
tub.
utility
Mhm.
one. I was like, I know there's a word. The utility sink, and then I just remember living in walls, like wood walls, for a couple years, and then they finally separated. But they were together, but they weren't. So like my
Right.
dad stayed in his room, my mom was in the living room, never slept in the same bed. It was just a
Right.
strange thing for a couple years. Then finally, she moved out, got this house. I actually just drove by this house on Sunday, me and
Mhm.
Kennedy, because no, it's like a house that was on top of a garage in the back of an alley. So we moved
Okay.
to like the border of Rouge and Ecorse on West Woodward and off of High Street. And so you would drive down West Woodward, cut through
Right.
the alley, and then the alley in between the houses, that's where the house was.
Okay.
So strange, but and then from there I started hanging out with the friends.
I know, just kind of a
Mhm.
funny thing. You talk about houses like that now. That's like an accessory dwelling unit is what they refer to those as.
Yeah.
And those are a big thing now.
Yeah. Well, in my brain, I was thinking it was like a mother-in-law suite or something, like in the back, because like the front house that had the yard was like a 3 apartments,
Right.
And then the back one
And
was
that was
apartment
it.
4 or
So
whatever.
you lived there. And how long were you in that area for?
A long time, until like 10th grade.
Right.
Yeah, 10th grade. Halfway through 10th grade year, we moved to Lincoln Park. We moved in with my mom's friend.
Okay.
Another weird living situations have never been normal. And we would walk in, so it was Ashley's house. She was supposed to move out, is what my mom said, and then she never did. So I don't know if she was ever supposed to move out. Yeah, no. Moms.
Well, no.
She just needed somewhere to put us. So in my brain now it's like, okay, we were staying with her.
But she was doing the things necessary to make sure she had a roof over your head.
Yep, so we were
determining
good.
the situation. Yeah, so it's rough. You
Yeah.
know, the moving, the going up and down.
We were in Southgate schools, so we were school of choice. They made all the school of choice kids sit at their own table. I was the smelly girl, so if you're watching this, you're a brat. Your name starts with a K. You know who I'm talking about. So I was like the smelly kid from E-Course who wears the same clothes every day because they were thrift store clothes, what have you.
Right.
Got in a lot of fights. I got in a lot of fights.
Yeah.
A lot of fights. Um,
Just defending yourself, or
a little bit of both. I don't know.
just to show you're a like a badass, or just
I don't know.
because...
I've always been tiny, so I wasn't like, maybe it was like little man syndrome.
Okay.
Like if
Yeah.
you, but also like I'm like, I don't know. I'm the bully's bully. Is what
Okay.
I like to say. And so like, if somebody was arguing and I seen somebody losing, I was gonna
help. You were gonna save.
Yeah. And that's kind of a lot of the fights where it was never like me and a girl fighting because of a guy.
Right.
It was never that. It was my sister was arguing with somebody, so now I have to go fight them. Or my best friend Demi Alyssa would be doing stupid things.
Right.
Oh, I'll never forget. And to this day, we still laugh about it because she was arguing with some girl at skating. Big girls. And
Okay.
over a boy that we called Toothless because he was his teeth. And she denied it. You know, I'm not talking to Toothless. I'm not talking to Toothless. We fight this group of girls. She's like, that's why I did him anyway. I'm like, Alyssa, you're my best friend. Don't do that. You have to tell me what I'm fighting for.
Right.
So after that, it was always up front, but at least we knew what we were getting into.
Right.
Me and Demi got into a few fights with people. Her brother, something happened to her brother. Like a girl was mean to him, and so I didn't like that either. I don't know. Like I just was like, oh, I'm gonna be the protector.
Yeah, you were the defender of your your friends. Now
I'm the oldest, so
I was gonna say you just
sense.
Dropped a bunch of names here. So we have a Kennedy, we have a Demi, we have
Alyssa, we have Kaylee, Emmy, and then I lived with Emmy, Kennedy, Kelsey. So yeah.
And that was outside of high school.
Yeah. So I went to high school. We were living in the Lincoln Park house with Ashley, which is my mom's friend. Ashley started dating a man named Angel. He was younger, so he's closer to my age than he was my mom's. And I didn't like him, so that was a big thing. He would argue with my brother and sister, and he would argue with my mom.
Right.
And so then, and he was smaller too, so he was a smaller man. So little man syndrome me. I was always arguing with him, so that I had to leave there. And then when we left there, my mom bought a house on the other side of Lincoln Park that only had 2 bedrooms, and there's 4 of us. So I'm like, okay. So at that point, I moved out. So I was 17, moved out, and with my boyfriend at the time. He was like 2 years older than me, his dad and all that, and that was okay. But still weird. Started working at Applebee's.
Right.
Started dating somebody way too old.
Right.
Not good.
Right.
But again, I needed somewhere to stay. So
you were pairing up not necessarily because you wanted to, but it's just again keep necessity.
Needed to be somewhere.
Right.
And so that,
I mean,
you know, I see, and you know, you laugh about it. Like girls can get away with that.
Right.
We can.
You can. It's essentially couch surfing.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't mean that you're putting out or anything, but essentially you're just crashing somewhere, and you know and you can use the headache excuse or the month or the whatever, and not have to actually, you know. And it sounds terrible, guys.
I know it really does. I'm sharing secrets.
Totally sorry about all of this, but here's some inside information.
But it is what it is.
It's a girl thing.
And you know, I've seen boys do it too.
Yeah.
But girls can get away with it easier.
There's less questions.
And I mean, even now I have Jack. So like, if me and Jack were needing somewhere to stay, you think nobody would be like, oh, come sit here for a day. Like, you can crash here for a week.
No.
Like, so I get it, and I don't know.
But and you understand because of that rough beginning, that 0 to 17, before you decided to leave and get your own unit. So you know how rough it is to do that, and as what I've seen in the last 2.5 years with Jack especially, everything that you do is for him. So you know that changes a lot of things because you're 29, so that means you were 23 when you had him. So you were in your early 20s, which you're really at the beginning start of your
Mhm.
life, and then all of a sudden now you kind of give up that part of you because you're responsible for a
Yep.
living human being.
Mhm.
And so you grow up pretty quickly,
Yeah.
so you start out kind of kids raising kids and kind
Mhm.
of learning as you go along, and then you have to develop your parenting
Yep.
style, because it's not going to be the Dr. Spock way of the
No,
1970s.
because I can't.
Right.
There's no there, and like that's the other thing too. Like you said, like the 1970s. For parenting, it's also big real world community. Like we don't have that. So like before, even when I was a kid, up
Right.
until my mom and dad separated, like we were at my grandma's house all the time.
Yeah.
Both grandparents. We were at my aunt's house. My uncle was over. My aunt was here. The neighbors. Our entire block on 8th Street had everybody knew everyone. Every house had a kid.
Right.
All the kids would stay the night. We had that big massive blackout where the whole Michigan was out
Yeah.
in the
The New
summer.
York grid. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we all went outside. Everybody pulls out their food. We're all cooking. Everybody's friends. Like
Right.
stayed up
Right.
till whatever for the 3 days having bonfires.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, last weekend I came home and the power was out and the whole neighborhood was silent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is everybody? They left, went to their family's house, somebody who had power. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
what about your neighbor? What about, because I mean, there was a couple older people that lived down the street. I don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Especially in this kind of heat.
yeah,
Of late we've had. these-
exactly. So I'm like,
huge
I don't
front.
know, just a weird sense of like help.
Well,
You
I
don't
think,
get that anymore.
Right, and I think, well, and that's the thing is, you see the broken down car. Oh, they probably have a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So why do I need to stop?
Mhm.
Or what if they have a gun?
Yes.
What if it's
Yes,
for the
literally,
bad side of it,
everybody's
right?
like in panic mode all the time.
Right. Or it's the what if, it's all about me.
Mhm.
It's the you
It
hate to
is.
say narcissistic society
Mhm.
because that's such an overly used word.
But it is.
But essentially, that's what we are.
Mhm.
I think COVID had a lot to do with that too, because it sanctioned us all off from each other. So we lost that human contact.
And COVID was rough.
Well, your son was born right in the middle of it.
Yeah, he was right at the
And-
his birthday was February 13th, 2019.
Yes.
COVID.
So yeah. So a couple years in, boom. There's
Yep.
What are you gonna do?
No,
and
it's rough.
he's not having that human interaction
Mhm.
to see the different faces and the reactions and things, and then going to the doctor, and of course they're all masked up
Mhm.
and whatnot.
It was a lot. I'm like, and then
That's a
now
ton.
you're completely separated too, so you're not even allowed to see anyone. And then
Right.
I'm in panic mode, like, oh my gosh, I can't get my 1-year-old sick. You have the sniffles. Don't come near me. Don't talk to me. Don't even text my phone because I'm not getting it through the phone. Like chaos. There
Yeah.
was nothing. Me and Jack all day long. Not a lot of adult interaction.
Right.
John was still working, and
And John is Jack's
yeah,
dad.
John is Jack's dad. We'll get
Okay.
to him in a minute.
We'll talk about John.
Yeah.
He's a good egg.
But right before I had Jack, I moved in with Kennedy, Emmy, and Kelsey. Kennedy and Kelsey are cousins. And then me, Kennedy, and Emmy played volleyball together in high school.
Okay.
All of us were down in the ruts. We were all getting out of the relationship. So me with the 32-year-old, that was
Right.
when he was okay being 32 in his trailer, driving his truck.
Right.
And I wasn't, and so I left. And then because I wasn't okay, he was terrible about it. Threw
Right.
everything out, so I had to start over. Moved in with them. My friends, they were all leaving their exes, and basically we all just moved in. Loved that house, the Shenandoah house.
Okay. Okay.
Chaos. It was very much so like on TV. I don't know if you've ever seen New Girl or clips of it. It was very much New Girl,
have
but
to
all
look.
girls. We just, I don't know. We wrote apartment numbers on the little archways
Mhm.
going down into our rooms. It was like the Pink Palace. It was great.
Okay.
I memorized all my friends and roommates' footsteps because I was in the basement, so
Okay.
I could hear who was like walking around, and we'd come upstairs. I'd hear them laughing at the table, and oh, I'm coming up too. I
Right.
don't know. Very full house. It was good. Could have recorded TV. We could have been famous. Like,
Probably.
just the chaos. And then from there, that's where I met John, Jack's dad.
Uh-huh.
They lived like in the neighborhood, so it was easy to talk to them, hang out. And then I got pregnant for the second time because the first time I got pregnant, I lost it.
Okay.
And then the second time I had Jack, chaos, was cheated on, and then figured, oh, it's gonna be okay because again, mindset, I need to be okay. I need to have a house. I'm leaving the Shenandoah house. I have to have a kid. He's got to take care of me and him.
Right.
I still worked because I have always worked. My roommates called me Daddy Lex. I was the man,
Right.
little man syndrome. Let me tell you.
Right.
So I was by 18. I was the manager at Great Clips.
Okay.
Because I went to college for a couple weeks. I was gonna play volleyball, but then the summer beforehand, I shattered my wrist. So I didn't want to be at school.
Yeah.
I was mad. I can't do what I want to do. I don't want to be here. So I stopped doing that, went to hair school,
Okay.
bartended, did all that. So I had money. So by the time I was 18, 19, I was the manager at Great Clips, which, again, everyone, it's the chop shop. But, like, it was great. I tell anybody who's coming out of hair school, like, Great Clips, Fantastic Sam's, those places where they get the, yeah, shout out Fantastic Sam's. But they have the hourly pay. So you get that hourly pay, and you're making clients, you're getting tips, you're doing all these things, and it was nice. I was young, I didn't have a kid, my bills were like $900 a month altogether.
Right.
And that was because I was paying other people's bills too. And then I had to take care of my mom a lot. And then Jack came. So then once we moved in with John, it was okay. But again, nothing was changing.
But the reliance shifted. So
Yep.
because at the time that you were in the apartment with the girls, at the
I was the man.
or the house. You were the Shenandoah house.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna call the Shenandoah house.
Yes, Shenandoah.
So during the time that you were the Shenandoah house, yes, you
I felt like the man.
You were the man. You were bringing home the bacon. You didn't have big bills, but you were reliant upon yourself. And so that was a big thing. It was Alexis. It was you taking care of yourself and whoever else you needed to. Albeit you were very young during that period, but
still,
we have similarities in that. One of the things that I said to a friend's business partner, interest when we talk about you at times, and you've come, of course you come up in conversation, but one of the things I said, I see a lot of myself in Alexis. And I said, however, she's just a little bit rough around the edges. A little bit more rough. We need to refine her a little bit more.
Yes.
And I think that's because it's the rugged. It's the I love manual labor. I like to get dirty. Hand me a shovel.
Yep.
I will spend all day in the garden in 90-degree weather, sweating up a storm. I don't care, because at the end of it, you're like, man, I did a good job. Because you see the fruits of your labor. Whereas, sitting behind a desk, I don't mind it, but you just don't feel, you just get tired.
Yeah, you get antsy.
You don't
want
just
more.
feel as accomplished. Of course, if you're in design and things, perhaps because you're completing a project, or when a 3D model comes together, those are the things that you see. So there's certain levels of per person what they feel,
what you can get to.
But I do like that hard work ethic side,
and I liked it, and that was the thing too. So like growing up, I did a million jobs. I started at Riverside, Coney Island, with my mom. I did Journeys. I did other Coney Islands and restaurants. One of the regulars at one of the restaurants, he opened up a bowling alley, and they were renovating and gutting it for the Antique Roadhouse show. It's like a blonde lady. It's an antique show.
Road show.
Yeah, something. And she was going to record, that was going to be her, like, Metro Detroit location.
Okay.
And so he needed it gutted, the whole bowling alley. And, like, a month straight, just went in there, busted my butt. And it was also volleyball season, so, like, I was ripped. I had, like, a six-pack, and I was super tan, and everything was cool. And because I helped him, he paid me. But on top of it, my homecoming, school had just started my senior year, and he had money, so he got me at the limo for me and my friends.
Oh, nice.
So that was cool, and it was just a surprise. I didn't know it. I guess I was dating. I don't even want to say his name. He gets too much coverage online. But I was dating a guy, and so he knew. So my mom set it up with him and the other guy, and they had that all cool. So I don't know. It was cool. like you wouldn't expect like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go destroy this building with this team, and then
Yeah.
that team helped. It was nice. It was good people to be with.
Right.
And
Right.
then I felt like that's kind of where I just keep trying to shift. I'm trying to be around. I always try to grow.
Right.
And again, like very social climber, I guess, but not for social reasons.
Right.
For bettering myself. So
Yeah.
if I wanted to learn when it was volleyball season, I was around the athletes. When it was Halloween, I was around the creatives because we were painting. And then we would move to summer. We were outside at the swim, so I was with my sister and her little teeny boppers. And, like, just got to make it all flow together. It's all weird. But it works.
But no,
you get a little bit from everything.
But having that varied background helps you to relate to a lot of different people at different levels. It doesn't matter. They could be a PhD, they could be a doctor, they could be an attorney, a lawyer, judge, whatever, or they could be working at the local McDonald's or at the gas station. And it doesn't matter where they've come from. You can find a way to connect with them. And that's
and people aren't nice anymore.
No,
they don't do that.
And so we find that quite a bit within the tax office even. It's just.
So if you guys are watching this, please be nice to me next year, please.
It's very demanding because there's a lot, and we get busy and things get delayed, and we apologize for anything that happens along the way. But every office is the same when it comes to taxes. I found
human. It is what it is.
And the key fact is that we're human, and that we all need to take that deep breath and count to 10 before we go off on somebody for a reason unknown, because they don't know who's walking in the front door or what just happened or what may have happened in the personal life. They just come in attacking and not giving any grace.
Fierce.
And it's not just our office. It's
everywhere. And that's the thing too. It's not just the people here, and it's not just because it's taxes. It's literally you can go into the gas station and people are crazy.
Well, right. And the thing that frustrates me the most, I think, with this is when you walk into an establishment, whether it be, again, one of the fast food chains or a gas station or a bank or, even the grocery store, Target, any of those big box stores. Every single one has a sign on the front door. We have the right to refuse service to a disorderly customer. We do not tolerate hate. We do not tolerate anger, abusive speech, or behavior. And it's like, these signs have only popped up in the last 2 years. And it's like, where are we, people? Come on.
Why? Yeah. Like, what happened? When did we shift back?
Each other?
And literally, that's it. Why
do
are
we all
mean?
need to be have to watch the Andy Griffith Show for a week straight? Every single one of us on repeat for 24 hours a day, just to reprogram what it's like to be nice.
Literally.
I mean, I seriously watch at least 2 episodes of Andy Griffith in a day.
You're like, no, I do.
That's my mister. He loves that show. We laugh, but we went. I went to Mount Airy, North Carolina.
So it's fun.
And it's a pleasant little town. It's cute. We walked around, and Monty was with us, and we walked through the downtown area, and it was
all the goods.
Quaint little thing.
It's cute.
But we need to get back to just being nice again, and not just posting. I say that till I'm blue in the face. Not just posting something on Instagram or Facebook. Hey, be nice today. Be happy today. Actually put it into practice.
Yeah, do something. And don't record yourself doing it.
We'll bleep that.
I said beep. I'm going to put in one of those little cats. But literally, just do it.
Just do
like,
it.
Why
Not
do you
to
need
take that
it?
away from Nike either. But exactly. So now you talked about so we've got mom and dad. Unfortunately, their relationship didn't survive, but still active parts of in your life. And we have sister and brother.
Sister and brother.
So what's the relationship like there?
Sister and brother are sister and brothers. So my mom and dad, they separated. So then my mom started working full time and just kind of stopped momming for a little bit, which is okay, whatever. And I had to mom. So my sister and my brother didn't like me for a long time. My brother has come to the
full circle.
Yeah, realization, because he has a kid now. My little niece, he's having another baby too. I think it's gonna be a girl. and
Put that on the record.
yep, girl number 2. And he would call me after he had Maisie and was like, thanks, I love you, and you did a lot.
Yeah.
And start at that point when he was in like college, he started telling people like, yeah, basically my mom, or you're my mom, basically my older brother. I didn't need an older brother. I had my sister. She did everything, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So me and my brother were close when we were younger. Me and my sister were not close. She stole my clothes. She's the year under me. We're the same size, same group of friends, same sports team, same everything.
Right.
Same everything. Just I was dark and she was light. Blonde hair, brown hair, greasy brown hair. And then different vibes, very preppy,
Barbie doll.
Barbie. And then she would go to all the raves and just be cool. She was cool.
Very social.
Homecoming queen. I wasn't allowed to be homecoming queen because, again, the fights and all that.
Well, and you and
which is crazy because I was fighting for her and she gets the crown.
right.
Crazy.
Which is kind of it's kind of funny if you think about it though too, because I mean the grunge doesn't get the beauty. You know, it's
they
still,
weren't gonna let
still
that
going
happen.
to.
It's a nice try.
I mean, there's always
now,
because there's always those Hollywood movies based on some Shakespearean
she's all that.
whatever. Exactly.
Takes her glasses off.
Yeah. But
her clip
already,
was already beautiful.
Exactly.
God takes the overalls off. Get out of town.
Yeah. Exactly. But hey, still.
Well, I've been rewatching some of the seasons of Survivor lately, and I love Survivor. Survivor, if you see this podcast, put me on. I haven't applied. I used to apply. I went to Put in Bay that one weekend and hung out there and did the application and the videos and had a blast. One of these days I'm going to be on there. Everyone in line was like, you're going to be on it. They're going to pick you. Don't lie to me. Got my hopes up, all of you. And then, but one of the girls there looked kind of crazy the first like 8 episodes. And then she won like a shower. And I was like, wow, she's so pretty. It's the she's all that effect. Take off the glasses, wash your face. Wow.
Right.
So nice.
Well, exactly. So now, okay, relationships, you kind of helped raise them. So therefore, there was the readjustment period. Okay, she's not my mom, but she is my sister. But I shouldn't rely on her.
So
or
we
do
got
I
into a
still
lot of
rely
fights.
on her too much.
My sister told me I left her. Like, you left me there.
When you moved out.
Yep. Yeah. So that was my sister and me. That's where we kind of hit like the peak of not being close.
Right.
We're closer now because then she's kind of been through life and starts to kind of listen to me. I realize that I might know a thing or two. Like, I swear. I don't know. She life is hitting her. So some of the things that not that I protected her from, but like the things that I took so that she and Xander didn't have to take it, pushed it for her. So now at 25, she's just now learning life and things are happening.
So she was kind of
coddled,
protected a little bit.
And not in a coddling way, because she still did things.
And worse. I mean,
yeah, we've all like little things. After high school, she was at my dad's house and tried to walk into the house. Somebody was walking and like held a gun up at her, so she was held at gunpoint, screaming, hoping somebody would come downstairs from one of the houses, something. And it was just like random Melvindale, so it wasn't even like bad area. And then so that kind of woke her up, and then realized, oh my gosh, yeah, because there was things that I used to have to tell her all the time. She would get mad at me because I wouldn't let her come out with us, but at the same time, like, I was going out where stupid things were happening. So
you were protecting her.
Yeah.
You didn't want her present because it's guilt by association. If you're present, you're guilty.
There was like rumors about her at the high school, and I remember like us fighting about that, and her being like, who cares, and it wasn't that I was like being mean to her or like calling her a name, it was, stop it, you're going to regret this, like things need to change. And again,
so being
down
the
the
older
road
sister, parent kind of position and just trying to take care of and guide. And I can see that.
She was aggressive with my mom, and my mom wasn't anymore.
Right.
So she would leave and kind of make me do it. So then my sister would go to school, and my sister beats me. Ah, I don't beat you.
Unless you deserved it. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, unless you deserved it.
But no, that's a joke.
But yeah, she's getting through life, and now, so like one of her close friends is sick. Things that like that's never hit her, so like she doesn't know how to do with that, and
Right.
so she's texting me about that a lot. Yeah, my first friend was shot when I was in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So then after Andrew, it was just
right,
everyone, everywhere. Car accidents, train accidents. My ex-boyfriend was hit by a train, and then lived, but then he's gone now because he was on so many pain meds afterwards, trauma, and then lots of drug overdoses,
mm-hmm.
lots of guns,
mm-hmm.
lots of stupid things.
Right.
Jade with her ex-boyfriend, trash. I don't even want to give him a name.
Yeah.
Trash bag.
No. I know you told me that story, but it's hard because you're so young, you know, so to have gone through, and that's the life of, now we're talking downriver, we're talking Detroit, we're talking, you know, these aren't,
I would just say Metro Detroit.
Yeah, Metro, these are normal neighborhoods. These aren't, you know, we're not talking about anything, you're not in, you know, a major, like a New York City or in Atlanta. I mean, we're just talking about, you know, it's southeastern Michigan.
Yep.
You know,
and people have like their like ideas about like Detroit, and this happens there, and
there's no address for any of that.
90% of the things that have happened to my friends and my loved ones that are no longer with us happened outside of the city.
Right. So no, you can't tie it to and people just use Detroit. Where are you from, Detroit? Because it's easier to say. You know, we of course all pull up our hands.
I'm always like, don't talk about the city like that. I swear it's
right.
great.
No, well, and it's a great city. You know, and there's so many
and
amazing things going on down there.
I don't know. People can do bad things anywhere.
Right.
Anywhere.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing is crime has no address, and that's what you have to remember.
Yep. And I feel like my sister at one point was getting into trouble with the law, and that was a whole ordeal too. But that was also after high school, so it was like, yeah, everything hit her all at once after high school. So now we're friends. Now we're good.
Now you can go out and have fun and go dancing.
She'll drive me nuts by the end of the night, but we can make it.
Yes.
And we can make it till we get home.
Right. Exactly. Well, and
it's growth.
So you know at least she's home safe. That's always the key, is making sure you both get home safely. Now, we've covered relationships. We've covered mom and dad. We've covered siblings. We've covered friendships.
We're gonna talk about John.
We're going to talk about John, and I think let's talk about this in a growth transition, because I think that's what happened, and I think that's the misunderstanding, where it's not quite understood. It's a really emotional and very touchy subject. I know.
Life.
It is. But let's talk about him. So when you walked into my office, you were in a relationship.
Yes. Me and John had been together for, I think it was 5 years at the time.
Yeah.
Because we were together for a year, and then we got pregnant. And it just wasn't doing anything. We weren't growing. He was okay being where he was.
Right.
Simple things, just like application to start a journeyman that I filled out 50 times and highlighted and handed to Luke, which they're learning that is also, for workforce, they're learning that that's a difficult situation.
Right.
Me and his family did not get along. They don't like me, and they can watch this and
be nice,
be upset about it, or they're gonna watch this and then realize, oh, that's exactly what we're dealing with now.
Well, and and I don't know any of them, but
Mhm.
I've seen some of their messages. So
Mhm.
let's talk about this. So my understanding, let's talk about the last 2.5 years.
Mhm.
This segment because relationships are tough, right?
Yep.
Ups and downs, bumps and
Mhm.
bruises. You did mention that there was an extra or an adulterous
Yep.
affair.
So that had already
But
happened
that happened while you were
while I was
pregnant.
pregnant, and then
So there was,
again later
so
on.
there was
Yep.
some dishonesty there, but sometimes but sometimes those relationships you can work through it
Mhm.
or you can break up.
Yep.
And you chose to work through it,
Mhm.
and you tried, and you worked. Okay, so
Yes,
let's
we
get
tried.
beyond. So
We
we're
moved
beyond that.
past.
So
We moved
now
past. I got it.
you
Your
walk
family don't
in,
like me, and I get it. Luke isn't helping you with this journeyman thing right now.
right,
Okay.
and
Luke is
journeyman.
his boss, also. Just whatever. And just so they weren't on the same page, me and John were never on the same page. His family and John were never on the same page. Me and his family, no one was ever on the same page.
Okay,
And then, with the whole adulterous actions, he went to his family. Family had his back, what have you, both times. And then my birthday came up, and I mean, to this day, I've been on 3 dates. I don't know,
how to date?
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't go out. We don't
right.
do that. And it was he. I begged him. I cried. I said, "Take me out on a date. It's my birthday. I want to do something, and I need you to show me like what we can do.
Right.
What are our possibilities? I need us to have a good night." And it took me somewhere. We were late, almost lost the reservation, and just nothing on the food menu either of us liked. Like, we're so picky. I don't know. It was just this very telling situation. Like, I just felt like, okay, I had to beg for this date, and it wasn't what I wanted. So
Did he pick the restaurant or did you?
he did.
Okay.
So I didn't know any of it. It was
Wait, he
it
didn't
was
look at the
all
menu
just him,
beforehand or
last
anything.
minute, whatever was open type of thing.
Okay.
And then I was frustrated, and I just remember sitting there for like 2 weeks, like, wow, this kind of sucks. Like, what am I gonna do? I love him, but I just don't think we love each other like that. I'm like, it just felt weird. And then I came home, and he was lying about the bills. So, however long we were about to lose the house, the sell by date was for 2 days prior to Jack's birthday, and I was mad.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, that was when I left. So that was 2 years ago, right before January. And then tax season started. So then I came in, chaos. Because literally, I think I had just left here because we were doing a meeting for tax season to start. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think I came in like that last week of December to help with something with. I don't remember. I forgot what I was doing. I was helping somebody.
Right.
Maybe. I don't remember what I was
Well,
helping.
we could have been doing a number of things.
Yeah, I don't remember.
There's always something
Yeah,
going on in
I'm
this
like,
office.
all my thought bubbles. I'm gonna have to cut it out. And so, but then, so I was in here for a week, that last week of December, and one of the days I left here, I went home. He wasn't paying the bills, and tried to blame it on me. So instantaneously in my brain, he went to his family. They fixed it, paid off whatever was owed. He was in the clear, what have you. He was in the clear with them, but he was not in the clear with me because there was still no communication. I don't even know how you fixed it.
Right.
And I remember telling him that I like it wasn't gonna work. We weren't growing. I need more. And he was like, "What do you mean more? I can't give you any more." And so that means then clearly we weren't good.
Right.
So we separated. Me and Jack moved in with my dad for a little bit, and then my brother and sister-in-law and niece came into town, and they stayed with John. And so we went back to John's house, and it's been 6 months, and me and John were talking, and we're like, we can try to be better, but I don't see it getting anywhere.
Right.
My dad had some living situations happening at his house, because he's remarried and has I have two stepbrothers, and then so they had family things going on, so
Right.
there wasn't room at my dad's house anymore. So I moved back in at John's, but we weren't together.
Right.
Because again, going back, I needed somewhere to live. And he understood that. And until he didn't. And then when he was upset that I had moved on or what have you, and then kicked me and Jack out, went to his family, family bullied me, wouldn't let me get my things, chaos.
Right.
So last year, all of that ensued. Things are getting better. I've got my own place. Me and John are getting along just swell. I love him. He loves me. He's the father of my son. I'm the mother to his son.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
Right.
And
but the relationship,
yes.
even though you weren't together, you were co-parenting
Yes.
to the best of your abilities.
We talk every day.
And probably communicate better
Yes.
or more now that you're not living
Yes.
under the same roof
Yes.
than you did when you were
Mhm.
together.
Because the things that we did communicate on don't matter.
Right.
So now the things we have to communicate on are the only
Everything
things that
matters.
matters.
Which is Jack.
Yeah, so it's better. And then 6 weeks ago, John was in a motorcycle accident,
Mm-hmm.
and John has been in the ICU for 6 weeks. He came out 2 weeks ago, and now he's in a rehab center. Probably going to be there for Thanksgiving, minimum, until he can at least stand up.
Right.
They can't even, I mean, they have him all tubed up and everything
Right.
doesn't work right. 42 broken bones, the brain damage, not damage, but
Inflammation.
something.
Well, I mean, anytime you come to a sudden stop,
Mm-hmm.
your brain doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it. Just
Yep.
like think of a bowl of Jello hitting
Mm-hmm.
a hard surface
Mm-hmm.
like that, and so that Jello is gonna
Yep.
go blah 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 blah, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what his brain did
Yep.
when it stopped.
And so he was out for 6 weeks. Done.
Yeah.
I was left in the dark. I tried to reach out. I tried to ask for information,
Right.
and was only given the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
But now that John's up, things are better. So now I can talk to him. I had to sneak in to the rehab center. I went in there the first day on Father's Day so Jack could see him, have a good time. His family was terrible to me. So the next day, I waited till like 8:04, and I walked in the doors, and like on the little sign out sheet, his sister had just signed out at 8 o'clock, and I was like, 4 minutes. Oh my Lanta. So then we go inside, and I have never seen John so excited. His eyes lit up. Mind you, the photos I had before, he wasn't here.
Yeah.
They were like marbles, and which is terrifying.
Yeah.
And so then his eyes lit up. He was so excited. Just kept saying he was so happy that we surprised him.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, everything's been good.
Good. And Jack gets to see his dad. Well, and because it's traumatic. Because really, when you are left in the dark, when you aren't family, I mean, and something like this, we have the proper things that we're putting into place between a will and everything else between me and my mister because we're not married. So the same thing. I mean, I could be something. My 17 years with him is meaningless when we go into a hospital situation unless we have a power of attorney and those things in place. So we're making sure all of those things are in place. Because you don't really think about that. But effectively, you're just the consort or just the mother, or if we want to go slang, just the baby mama at that time, and nothing else. So, but it's really, really hard when all your son wants to do is see his dad and know that he's okay and that he's still breathing, and you can't deliver
and
that.
I can't, and I don't have any information.
But,
and that was the hardest. Was like Jack was like,
Yeah,
"Well, when
no.
is Dad gonna come out?
Yeah.
When is Dad gonna be better? When is
Right.
Dad gonna do this?" And
Because he was so used to that routine
Yeah.
of being picked
every
up
weekend he was with his dad, and like,
at least once a week during the week.
Yep, Thursdays, and it just was one of, I don't know. It's just you're not a part of this if
Right.
you're not me, his dad, or him.
Right.
And I don't know. I just feel
Well,
like they just didn't like.
Even though you're not together, you still have that family unit, and they didn't recognize that. And
Even though their family is the same. So
yeah.
just I don't know.
And
Again, it goes back to what we said at the beginning. everyone for themselves. So
Yeah, and
they're worried
protection.
about having to pay for John's bills.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if that sounds cold. That's what it's coming across from.
Yeah.
You were nice to me about the GoFundMe, and you were nice to me trying to get me to stop child support.
Yeah.
Which, again, can't do that. Not my job.
Right.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a
You
anything.
just
I am a mother.
You explain the caseworker.
Yeah,
This is
no,
what happened. I don't know what you have to do.
Raising Jack 24 flippin' 7 and
Because that's
and
tough.
biting the bullet right now.
Because
now where do I work if I have my kid with me?
Yeah.
Where do I put him? It's summertime. How do I pay for this? How do I get this? How do I do this? I can't do this without finishing this first and building this block and then tying this together, and it's
And if I may break in for one moment, and this is why, everyone, it's so important to like, share, and subscribe this show so we can get some donations and perhaps earn a living off of this. So we can pay Alexis to do her job.
Please. Please.
Oh, she's so sweet.
But no, it's just one of those things. I don't know. It's just trying to.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Okay, so here
There's
you
too
are.
many.
So now,
too many things.
So you go through a transition. You find that you know you're not growing in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You finally get to a good working co-parent, and then tragedy strikes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a temporary setback because he is going to come through. He's going to build that energy back up, and the fact that he's got Jack rooting for him is a huge thing. Because that's going to be his boost to get back on 2 feet, to make sure that he can show his son how to play baseball or how to play basketball or do whatever sport, and go do something. And he wants to be, because that's what they did. They're rough and tumble. They like to wrestle together, so he's going to make sure he can do those things with his son again. And I think that's something that we know. But on the flip side, you have, because it does set you back a little bit too, because now you have worry, you have, okay, how do I explain this to Jack? How is he going to understand?
I know. So if you see any acne, that's why.
It's
stress me.
It's all stress. Total stress. But
I'm not a high school girl.
No. Oh gosh, we talk about that all the time. But so you get through that transition, but you find, for the last 10 years or so, you keep taking care of everybody else. And now, especially now, because, okay, now it's just you, and it's just you and Jack. You said 24/7, and it truly is. So how can you afford to work and then pay childcare, or there's not somebody there that can step up to offer the childcare? And so it's finding those flexible positions, and that's where the next step goes. So you were doing cosmetology, you were in hair, and then you also do your art, and you do herbals, and you do a lot of things that you're exploring, and you're looking into some other computer technology. I mean, look what you do for us. So you handle here. Not only for the tax office, I mean, I just refer to you as my personal assistant because you are probably the only person that can read my mind. I don't have to say much to you. You just know what gets done. It's like, okay, or I'll say 3 things. And you're like, okay, or just 2 of them are already done because you've already anticipated for that. You're very organized, and I absolutely love that because I'm so disorganized and chaotic. I know what everything is, but
but it's your system,
right? Exactly. It's my system that I created for 17 years because it was just me in the office. So I never had to worry about anyone else stepping in because it was all upstairs. And I didn't have to explain it to anybody. So now having you, and the important thing I want to say about that too is, the last couple of years, you came in, it was chaos, but also me not being the healthiest person because my brain was not there with the Lyme disease. You helped carry me through all of this. So when we go back to that song, those anthems and things that we talk about, so the anthem for the show, for Life Between Coasts, is I Believe. And the opening line, that song has, it says, I believe that I'd be lost if I knew my way. And there's other lyrics that say, I believe you landed next to me. Like, there's a purpose why you landed here. So you were sent to come in the door a day early, mind you, for your interview appointment. So you were meant to come into that door. You walked into that door, and you helped me float to get us here. and look at everything that we flourished with here. So we've set this up. We've done this. You do the editing. You do all the posting. I am still terrible at social media. I'm trying desperately, but we're getting there.
We're getting
Learning little bits here by there.
Seeing what
but
works.
these are the things that we're doing together. We're discovering our abilities together, and in turn, I think that some of the things that I hope that I'm imputing on you is that resilience. So instead of taking care of everybody else, how to take care of yourself and how to stand on your own 2 feet. Whereas if you hear through your story, it's always been the shelter. It's the roof over your head. So I will do whatever it takes to make sure I have a roof over my head, right? So thinking about that, now it's standing on your own 2 feet, and instead of relying on somebody to provide that shelter, you're providing that shelter. You have the roof over your head. You have the roof over your head and Jack's head. And so you've now come to that precipice where you're on your own 2 feet making it happen. So when your engine blows up in your car and your co-parent gets in a massive accident and all of these terrible things happen, instead of saying, oh my gosh, my life sucks, why, you take a deep breath and say, all right, let's go, right?
I'm like, what's Adam Sandler? There's a scene where he's like, all right. I'm like, that's me all the time.
It's just like fists clenched,
Adam
staring.
Sandler all the time.
Right. But do you find that now you're going into your 30s, new decade? So I've always said that the 20s are messy. So going back, and I don't know if I've said this already once before, but I've always said about women especially that we're like a fine wine.
Yeah.
So you get better with age.
30, flirty, and thriving. That's what I need.
Yeah.
30, flirty, and thriving.
I like that. That's a good one.
It's like,
there you go. That's a good one because like I said, 0 to 18, parents take care of you. Go to college, you're figuring out in your 20s. You had a child, so that added another layer to your figuring it out. So that complicates things. But you see, you're successful. I mean, I get to see Jack quite a bit. So that's the one benefit of working here is this set doubles as daycare.
Jack's little couch.
This becomes the clubhouse.
So if you see
we're not
a Dorito, no, you don't.
Yes, absolutely. We have tarps and things we put up so he doesn't get his little sticky fingers all over everything. Yeah. But hey, it works.
He does a good job. He's pretty good. He's a great kid. He's funny, and I couldn't imagine I don't know anything else.
Right.
Like any other kid being mine. So I'm like, he's my mini-me. He's been on the podcast before.
Well, right. I mean, he told us what life is.
You just live it.
Just live it.
Just live it.
And that's the key. So now, Alexis, as we've asked every other person on our show up to this point, what is your anthem?
All right. Anthems.
I don't have to explain it because you know.
I know. My personal anthems, I've got multiple. I've already added a bunch of them on to the playlist.
Okay.
So if you look on there, that the ones from Alexis are mine. But really, it was that Praying song by Kesha for a really long time. And then it was the Dancing in the Dark song by Rihanna. That one, the entire time I was pregnant. I don't know. As soon as I heard that song, it just made me happy. I could feel Jack moving in my belly. So even now, I'm like, that song makes me happy.
Yes.
And then lots of the Anything Could Happen. All of my songs are very anything could happen. Just try it. Just loosen up.
Well, and that's,
I feel like I gotta loosen up all the time.
That's my personal anthem, Born to Try. Just you have to give it a go, because if you don't, there's regrets or the what ifs.
Yep.
If you have an opportunity, sometimes you just have to let go and say, okay, let's go.
And then there was Casey Musgraves. She's got Deeper Well. That one's good, and that one's more of like the newer one. Like, like she looks around and realized that she's almost kept herself in the well.
Right.
And so she finds a deeper one.
I think
she needs more. She needs more water. She needs more.
Right.
And I think that was cool.
And I think that some of those feelings are, do you deserve it? Are
Mhm.
is this where you're heading? Like, because you question yourself.
Mhm.
No, I'm the poor girl that came from here.
Mhm.
You know, I don't deserve this because that wasn't part of my aristocratic, you know, or my
Yep.
hierarchy, or you know, I'm
None of the
supposed to
goods.
be on this level because that's what I was born into. And people don't realize that this country, especially, and if you look, it was funny. I watched that a show on Sunday morning on a specific channel, and they did a bio on Lucy and Desi,
Mm.
and Desi at the very end, one of the things he said is, you know, America is the only country that you can come as a poor immigrant,
Mhm.
and he didn't call himself even a refugee. I mean, he was forced; he had to
Mhm.
leave, and so he was involuntary. You know, came here basically, and he talked about like living in warehouses with rats and
Mhm.
just, you know, doing and scraping, but then to become what he became. And he said, "This is the only country that you can do those things,"
Mhm.
and that's what we're striving for.
Mhm.
You know, that's what we're trying to
Success.
do for ourselves,
Yep.
because you know, here, like I said, I see myself in you,
Mhm.
and that's where that's I do. I mean, because
Which is good. It's
you know,
good. I want that. That's a
I was
compliment.
protected. I protected myself. It was in different ways. You know,
Mhm.
I grew up in a much more rural area,
Mhm.
less city. You know, so our we weren't having, you know, drug over. Well, and look,
You
you know,
could.
there's we
There's
did
still
have
things that
some.
happen.
No, there's things that
Mhm.
happened, but even, you know, even our years between each other,
Mhm.
25 years between each other, or whatever it is. Well, how many years are there? Gosh, you're 16. We're 16, 17 years
Yeah.
now. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I added 10 years. I don't know where
I
that
think
came
it's
from.
one more than Kate.
Yeah, yeah. And but still, there is a gap in what is different that was on the
Mhm.
street and what was on the street with us,
Mhm.
and things like that, and what we were exposed to and whatnot. So there is always big differences between ODs
Yep.
and things. And because I'm not saying that there wasn't drug use, but
No.
it wasn't to the
It,
to like the fentanyl
yeah,
levels,
to the
you know, where
extent.
you have to be concerned,
Yeah.
d- uh, because
Mhm.
that was not part of
Yeah. There's no way I
the
would
repertoire.
ever attempt anything
Right,
hard.
right,
Just for the simple fact that I don't know what's in it.
right.
Everything. So it's crazy. I
Right.
don't. I
No,
don't
because
know. It's
I
scary.
talked to people that, I mean, they went to raves and they did
Yep.
this. I mean,
I told
and
you my sister. You know.
yeah,
So
I
like
mean,
I hear it, but I'm like.
but it's scary. You
Mhm.
know, it's very scary. So I personally wouldn't go and do those things. But so like I said, so growing up in two different regions, really, of our state, still
Mhm.
southeastern Michigan,
Mhm.
and multiple years apart. But you know, mine was like literally like the Mayberry, you know,
Mhm.
Andy Griffith show, right? And
Mhm.
yours is city.
Yep.
And so you can see the differences there, but similarities in
Yep.
that background. So this
Because everybody
point,
is living life and like.
yes, but to make that point, it doesn't matter if if somebody's in rural Michigan up north,
Mhm.
or if they're in Oklahoma or Kansas or
Yep.
Tennessee. It doesn't matter that if they're in a rural spot or if they're in the city. Look, we have that same
Mhm.
story, and growing up decades apart in two different areas at two different times, pre Google, post Google. I mean, all these things, but look at these
Mhm.
similarities in this
Yep.
story. And it's standing on your own 2 feet. It's persevering. It's doing what you have to do to live your life
Yep.
and be as present as possible for your son Jack, and to make sure that that all goes well.
Mhm. Just be successful, and not necessarily like swimming in gold,
Right.
but like successful.
Right.
Everyone's happy.
I
We're
think
all taken care of,
yeah.
and life is good.
And I think that that's where we want to take
Mhm.
this. That's
And I
why
feel like
this
that's
is
where
this
everybody
message.
wants to take everything.
Right.
So we could just get together and everyone be successful.
And launch this together, and get people to subscribe, like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you go to the Anthem Project. What else? Oh, another thing is make sure you guys all go onto the social media pages and respond to the things, to my posts, because I'm the one making these posts. So when I post it, respond to me. Now you know what I look like, who you're talking to.
Make Alexis feel wanted.
Yes.
And
Be my
respond
friend.
to her social media posts that she has. We post on X,
Yep.
Facebook, Instagram,
Twitter,
and
or Twitter is X.
and
TikTok. That's
TikTok.
what I was going to say.
Yes.
The
And
other
then you
T.
can also comment on any of the shorts and videos on the YouTube channel as well, which is Life Between Coasts.
And you guys should, like, sync it. You should respond to it. Like, tag it, like, record it, and shift into your guys. Because I like to hear what you guys want about the video, too. So if you see something good, tap reply, and I know on TikTok you can have it set up to where your video is right next to that video. I want to see your reactions to them.
Yes. That would be
That's what it'd
right.
be cool.
So where the people talk and
Yeah,
then they show the
I
clip
want
and
to
then
see.
they talk back.
Yeah, I want to see
yes.
what if you guys enjoy it or not.
Yes.
Like,
give us your feedback.
yeah, even
Tell
if it's
us what we're
bad,
doing.
like you see a video
Right.
and like, oh my gosh, here's this.
I
Like,
can't believe you did that.
yeah, somebody said something about Judge, which we all love Judge, and they said something about like nepotism or something, and we're all
Yeah.
like, of course. But guess what?
They're all elected.
Yep. And
I
guess
mean,
what?
it might be name recognition, but it's
but,
not nepotism.
Yep, no.
You know,
And
and
so
they didn't get the job
listen
because
to the video, watch
Mhm.
the podcast,
Yeah.
and then respond to it. Because now all we got from that comment was like it was like 3 words.
It was no. It was just.
Just-
It was.
just-
It was.
it was
nepo-
just
It was.
nepotism
It
or
was
something.
nepo judge or something.
Yeah,
I think
something
they
along
said,
those
or some-
lines. And I would have rather had that person take this video and respond to it. Like I
Right.
would rather you say something to me because
Right.
you commenting
Well,
one
that's,
word
you know,
is
that's the coward
is
move.
yeah, it's cowardice and like there's no communication, so there is no understanding.
Right. We don't know where you're coming from, and you don't know where we're coming
Yeah.
from, and that's the coward thing. That's the get beyond the screen, because we're too comfortable saying negative
Yes.
things to each other behind the screen because there's no repercussions.
Yep.
They don't know who we are. They don't know where we live. And I'm not talking about doxing people or anything
Yeah.
like that, but that's people feel comfortable just
Yeah.
saying it behind the
Yeah,
screen.
just being
But
mean.
if you had to say that to my face, would you?
Yep.
Period.
And how would you have said it like that?
Yeah.
Same thing when people call here and they're so rude on
Did
the
you
phone.
mean to sound
Like
rude?
why do you do that? Like
Yeah.
are you having a rough day? Like
Yeah,
me
and maybe
too.
they are, but we just have to,
Well, like,
you know,
all of
give
us.
grace and be like that for each other, and just 100% complete.
Too much. Just
So.
just figure it all out. I don't know. Talk to us, engage, so we know what you guys like, because I want to know.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
And
wonderful.
we're hoping to bring in a few.
Yep.
You know, we're gonna tag. This is everyday people, you know, that we want here. And so
Mhm.
I'm going to warn you guys here. One of the things, we're doing this for marketing because we want to grow our listening base. Because if we grow our listening base, then everybody can get the same message
You
that you're
know?
receiving today. And, you know, I don't want to sound like a salesperson,
But
but
come
I
on.
think these people everybody needs a
Yes.
good positive
Mhm.
message, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so so I think that if we can grow our listing base, the only way for us to do that is to start tagging some famous people with a lot of followers.
Yep.
So I don't want you guys to misunderstand
Yep.
when we're going to be doing this.
I'm not
because
asking
I'm
Oprah
not
to be on
trying
it.
to I'm not trying to have anyone famous on the show,
Yep.
because these are the stories of everyday people that I see every day, or that I come into contact with. I mean, believe me, I was at the dentist and I invited all three, both receptionists and my the hygienist.
Yep.
To
He's like,
not only
come
listen,
on.
but to also be guests.
Like,
So
come
believe me, I
on.
said, if you have a story, come sit. And one shared, I
Mhm.
mean, they shared a story with me right then and there, and I was like, you know, please come sit, because it's one
Come.
of those stories, and it's a great thing, because when you start talking about synchronicity, you give them the
Mhm.
definition, and you tell them, you know, you experience them every day,
Yep.
and they're like, oh my gosh, this happens.
Yep.
And so
And you don't think about
they
it.
already know it
Yep.
happens. So it's just getting your story out there. So when we start tagging some famous people, again, it's not because we want them to be on our show. It's only because we want them to somehow like us,
Mhm.
so their followers see us,
Mhm.
because it's their followers that we're after. It's
Yeah.
those people that live in the middle of the country, the flyover country, life between coasts, between the coasts. And, you know, I'm not excluding the coastal people either, but, you know, your stories matter. It's just you're a bigger, more outspoken
Yep. It's a little
audience.
different.
And so life for us is a little bit different than life for you. So it's just giving you an insider's look
Mhm.
of what life is between the coasts. So thank you again for joining us on this week's episode. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe so we can grow our community of listeners. We'd like to thank Alexis today for joining us and hope you have a great week. And until then, bye-bye.